This component here is your pressure cap. And this component here is your expansion tank. The expansion tank system is needed because as coolant heats up, it expands. So there needs to be a location where the expanded coolant can go to, and that's why you have an expansion tank. This is one of your engine mounts that are responsible for holding up the engine and gearbox. There is a protective cover that you can remove to access the dipped beam bulb of the headlight. Also in this area, you've got a protective cover that you can remove to gain access to the main beam light bulb. You've also got an electrical connector for the headlight. And finally, you have another electrical connector for your turn signal. This pipe leads from your expansion tank to the engine. Because the expansion tank is the only way where you can top up the engine's cooling system, this pipe is needed. This is one of your recharge points for your air conditioning system. The air conditioning system uses refrigerant, so if the refrigerant ran low, you need to recharge it. This is one of the ports you would connect the air conditioning recharge machine to. This is your longitudinal member. This chassis member runs from the front of the car to the rear of the car. The timing belt cover is used to protect the timing belt system from debris, and because the engine in this car has the timing belt covered in oil, it's also used to protect the engine oil from debris. The reason why the engine's timing belt is covered with oil is to reduce friction. This is your oil filler cap. With the cap removed, you can see your timing belt. This is your alternator. The alternator is used to power your 12-volt system when the engine is running. This is your alternator drive pulley. This is your auxiliary belt drive system. In this location you can see your alternator in more detail, your belt tensioner, your crankshaft pulley, and just below the alternator you have your air conditioning compressor. This is your intake manifold plenum. The plenum is used to equally distribute the air to each of the intake runners. You've got a honeycomb liner to reinforce the plenum chamber. You've got a fastener that is used to hold down your coil pack. This component here is your map sensor. This sensor is used by the engine control unit to determine how much pressure is inside the intake manifold. In this location you have your dipstick, your pre-catalytic converter lambda sensor that tells the engine control unit the air-fuel ratio, and finally your exhaust manifold. The exhaust manifold in this engine is built into the cylinder head. They have done this to improve warm-up times. In this location you have a protective cover for the positive terminal. This is your 12-volt battery itself. The 12-volt battery is very important because it is used to not only power your 12-volt system, but it is also used to power the starter motor. Your electrical connector for your engine control unit, the engine control unit that controls the engine, and finally your fuse box. In this location you have your brake fluid tank with cap, brake booster that uses vacuum to provide power assistance to your master cylinder, and finally you have two brake lines that goes from your master cylinder to your ABS modulator. This component here is your air intake pipe that feeds air to your air filter. The air filter is needed to prevent dust and debris from entering the engine. This pipe is your power brake vacuum feed pipe and is used to provide vacuum from the intake manifold to your power brake booster. In this location you have your intake runners. The reason why you have long intake runners is to improve the engine's low end torque. Also in this location you have your fuel rail that distributes the fuel from the fuel tank to each of your fuel injectors. You have electrical connectors to operate your fuel injectors. At the rear of the engine compartment you have your air conditioning pipes that go into your cabin for your evaporator. And finally, you have your bulkhead. Now on the bulkhead itself, you have black sound deadening to reduce the noise of the engine. At the rear of the engine compartment, you have lots of different components. At the bottom of the engine compartment, you have your catalytic converter that is used to reduce harmful emissions from going out of the exhaust, your post catalytic converter O2 sensor to tell the engine control unit of catalytic converter efficiency, and last you have your air conditioning compressor that is used to pump the refrigerant around the system. Thank you very much for watching my video and goodbye.